Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today I have an interesting accessory for us to take a look at. So while this does say a speakerphone on the front, this is still an interesting piece of kit for people running computers that have either USB ports or Bluetooth, especially in a conference setting, and that's why this is before you. So this is the EMEET Office Core M2 Max, which is pretty much their premium line professional speakerphone for a conference setup. Now, this is certainly a more expensive product, so my expectations are pretty high. This does retail for about $330 US, often with coupons available. And it sports a variety of different and unique features. So the first is that it is a multi-microphone setup. So there are 4 microphones in total that are picking up your voice. And the marketing says that anywhere from 10 to 15 people should be able to be picked up, although you wouldn't have 10 to 15 people talking in a conference room unless they're screaming and yelling at each other, in which case there's not a whole lot to hear. In their material, they do talk about some noise cancellation technology, what'll be interesting to see. And those microphones are working at 48 kilohertz audio, so we're talking about some pretty high quality audio, hopefully. There is also the option to daisy chain another one of these speakers together using a cable that I don't believe is included. You also have a 89 decibel speaker, which is being driven by 5 watts. And an internal battery that is supposed to last about 12 hours. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we get in the box. So the box uses a slipcase design here. And there is our speaker, and this thing is pretty large. And it is plastic construction. We'll see what else we have inside the box here. We've got a nice pull tab to remove our accessories. And we have a nice big long USB type A to type C cable. And then we have our user's manual. As we can see around the edge here, we do have the 4 microphones, I presume. Little grates there. And then we have this little gasket fit, which shows lock, headphone, link, and USB. So if we peel that back, we can see a Kensington lock. We can see a 3.5 millimeter, I'm going to guess that's for input. The link cable, which looks to be just a microphone cable. It might be TRRS, not too sure. And then, of course, the USB type C cable is plugged in there. If we plug that back up and look on the bottom, it would appear that we have some kind of wireless dongle as well, which is really neat to see. So that means that we can use Bluetooth, some kind of wireless setup there, presumably, or the included cable. So there's lots of different ways to connect to this thing to a lot of different systems. And I'm just going to pair this with my phone off screen here. And we've got 50% battery remaining. Touch buttons seem to work okay. So the light seems to indicate the volume with a series of LEDs all the way around, which I actually really appreciate. Nice big, easy to press mute button. This is for Bluetooth.
Voice I on.
So that's the Voice IA button. Yeah, short press AI noise reduction button to enable disable. Turning on the Voice IA noise reduction can greatly reduce some of the noise in the meeting scene, such as keyboard typing, air conditioning noise, and general unwanted background noise. Well, we'll be able to test that for sure. And then we've got USB connection, Bluetooth connection, the USB dongle connection, and I guess this is a headset connection, which is interesting. And it looks like this is how to daisy chain the two together. And it also explains that charging needs to use this cable over 5 volts, so standard USB. All right, well, that's the basics. Let's run this through a couple series of tests, shall we? All right, so speaker volume, no concerns there. It easily reaches the 89 decibels that they claim, and it doesn't blow itself out, which is really good to see, because there's no sense in having a loudspeaker if it's just going to blow itself out at those maximum volume and higher ranges. So that is a relief to see that that is functioning correctly. Now, of course, we need to consider these microphones around here and whether or not they do their job. And for the testing of this, I will be pairing it with a laptop just to see how well that functions. All right, so I have my X220 hooked up here. So there's quite a few things going on. The very first is that I just took the dongle out and I plugged it in and it worked. Now, you need to understand, I am running Linux on this because I know it's going to work on Mac, I know it's going to work on Windows because all the companies always test for that. But I always like to test it in Linux because if it works there, it's going to work everywhere. Now, the other thing that we can see happening here is this green light. And this green light is actually detecting, I think, yeah, so if I move around, it seems to be picking the microphones that it's using to find me and potentially do good audio with. So like I'm over here, there's a microphone here. If I move over here, there's a microphone here. Pretty neat. So this is the audio, and I'm just pausing there to see if we can pick up any background noise. And this thing looks like it's very hot. Like we're not going to have too much trouble hearing me. If anything, I might need to lower that in post-production, which is pretty rare. Keep in mind, I'm about 12 to 18 inches away. If I go ahead and put my lapel mic down, and I go literally all the way to the other side of my filming space right now, so this is about 10 feet away, that's what it's going to sound like without any kind of audio noise cancellation trickery. Now, if I come back over and toggle that on, there doesn't appear to be any background noise. Things seem to be maybe a little bit more controlled. We'll see in post what that sounds like. Again, I'm about 18 inches away, but if I go all the way back over here to about the 10-foot mark, this is what the audio sounds like. So you know what? Let's go further still. I'm going to go stand by something noisy in the same room, and I'm still facing the microphone there, and I can see at a great distance, probably like 15, 18 feet away now, that it's still picking me up in the same direction, but I'm standing right next to actually a server. And whether or not it can pick up me and drown out the server is going to be very interesting to see in post. All right, one last thing to quickly test before doing any final conclusions, of course, is how does like video audio or just spoken audio sound out of this. So to figure that out, I'm going to load up one of my videos.
Life is about moving forward.
Advertisements.
Making the most of every day.
Even they sound
every
good.
Moment.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today we have another ThinkPad. Now this ThinkPad is going to look rather unique because it has a plastic lid with no paint on it, which is one of the reasons why it kind of looks as beaten up as it does. But rest assured, hey, sounds pretty good. I'm satisfied with that. So the real question, as I come back and put my lapel microphone on, is whether or not this thing is worth the price tag, and that is ultimately the the question. And the only way to answer that question is to ask yourself, well, how much use am I going to get out of something like this? If you need audio quality that hopefully this delivers, and you need a good speaker, and you know, it looks unobtrusive. The touch controls work perfectly fine. You can run this thing without wires or with wires. You can run it with dongles on every operating system known to man. You can hook it up to phones. It's actually pretty versatile. Now, you're only going to get your money's worth if you're going to take advantage of all of those things I just mentioned. If you're not, then there might be a slightly more cost-effective solution out there for you to try. At the very least, I thought it was still an entertaining thing to look at. And yeah, I'd be curious to know what you think in the comment section down below. I should mention before we go that EMEET did send this to me to test, so I did not personally purchase this. However, I am not receiving any financial compensation for this device beyond obviously being sent this sample to review. My opinions remain as always objective and my own, and I hope that you enjoyed this look at a kind of an interesting and unassuming little device that may or may not have a use or service in a situation that you can dream up. With all that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I would encourage you to do the big four. It really does help the channel grow. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so the next time I get to feature something cool and interesting like this, you'll be the first to know about it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.